All right, what's up, fight fans, and welcome back to another KJ MMA show. We have another stacked UFC card coming to you this weekend, headlined by Arman, Tsarukyan, and Gamrot, his opponent. How do you say his first name? Is it Mateusz Gamrot?
Mateusz Gamrot.
Mateusz Gamrot. Goodness gracious! Again, these names. You're gonna go to take a college class to understand how to pronounce them correctly. But that's an interesting bout in the lightweight division right there. The number 11 versus the number 12 ranked guy. So let's just start with the main event here. I'm a little surprised that this is your main event. I feel like maybe they could have found a little bit more of a marquee matchup to put in the main event slot. But again, two ranked guys, and you have Tsarukyan, a minus 280 favorite against the underdog Gamrot. How do you see this one going, Garrett?
Oh man, this is a great fight. This is a hardcore MMA fans delight. We've been watching these two on the come up. Gamrot's 3-0 in the UFC. Arman Tsarukyan's on a 5-fight winning streak, 5-1. His only loss in the last 7 years is Islam Makhachev. You know how high level both of these guys are. Gamrot was the 2-division champion over in KSW, 145-pound champ, the 155-pound champ, and he's been looking tough. He's looking great. Actually, Gamrot, he's 3-1. He lost to, I believe, Kutateladze in a close fight that I arguably thought he won. So technically, I think he should be 4-0. But these guys are on the come up. These are title contenders. I could arguably seeing one of these guys get a title shot very soon, probably with a win here and maybe one more win after that, and we could see a title fight. But as far as this fight goes, I don't like laying minus 280 on Tsarukyan, but I do think he's the right side. I do think he gets the job done. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. He's got really good cardio. He's got really good striking. He was able to finish Christos Giagos just 2 fights ago. He absolutely demolished Joel Alvarez within 2 rounds. It would leave him to a bloody pulp. Gamrot, he's good in his own right, but we've seen him, I feel like we see more chink in his armor than we've seen in Tsarukyan, and I feel like we've got more of a higher ceiling on Tsarukyan than Gamrot, but I feel like it's going to be a really close matchup. I do think it should be a lot closer in odds. Maybe I would cap Tsarukyan around minus 170, minus 180, so you are getting a lot of good value on Gamrot, so I wouldn't be surprised if you would go and bet on Gamrot in this matchup, but ultimately I do think Tsarukyan does outwork Gamrot over 25 minutes. I think Gamrot's I know he's got the 5-round experience, but I feel like he's going to start to fade as the fight goes on, especially if he has to go grapple heavy against Tsarukyan, who I do think is the better grappler. I do think he's a better counter grappler, and I do think he's a better striker on the feet. So here we are. I got Tsarukyan winning this fight, possibly by decision. The decision prop, let me see. Decision prop would probably set him at plus 150. That's not bad. You get rid of all that juice. I think Gamrot's tough enough to hang in there with Tsarukyan, and with the grappling as far as and the striking as well. So I kind of like Tsarukyan by decision at plus 150 in this matchup.
You really think the winner of this fight is a fight or two away from a title shot?
Absolutely, just because the way this lightweight division is really stacking up. I mean, Charles Oliveira's beating everybody in the top 5 other than Islam Makhachev, and then outside that top 5, who's really got any type of hype behind them? These are the only two. They're the only two, and the way I see it happening is Islam is going to take on Charles Oliveira. Islam beats Oliveira, and then Islam takes on Arman Tsarukyan after Tsarukyan beats Gamrot, and then we get the rematch that everybody wants to see.
Okay, well, maybe from what I've seen of both Tsarukyan and Gamrot, I'm with you on this one. I do think that the odds could be a little bit closer, but I fully expect Tsarukyan to win this. I think it does go the distance. I don't think this is going to be a knockout or a submission at all. I think these two are fairly evenly matched, but that's your main event. Your co-main is Neil Magny and Rakhmonov, and Rakhmonov is actually a minus 390 favorite. Neil Magny a plus 320 dog. And anytime you get a veteran like Neil Magny, who's that heavy of an underdog, I kind of like him in this fight. Disrespect. Talk about the disrespect for Neil Magny. This is a guy that's been around the division forever, and you know how good he is. You know how long he is. Are you with me here? Do you feel like this is maybe where Magny can spring an upset?
He definitely can. I mean, this is arguably the toughest matchup for Shavkat Rakhmonov in his entire career. And it's kind of, like you said, very disrespectful considering look who Rakhmonov has fought the last 3 fights, and he wasn't even a minus 390 favorite against any of them. Carlston Harris, Michel Pereira, and Alex Cowboy Oliveira. I mean, he wasn't even a minus 390 favorite against any one of them. Obviously, we have recency bias. He's finished all 3 of his opponents. He's absolutely dominant. I think this is going to be a very tough matchup. I feel like it's going to go the distance as well. And we're going to see what Rakhmonov is really made of in this matchup. It's not a fight I really want to bet on because the line is ridiculously wide. I do think Rakhmonov is the winning side, but I think it's going to be a sweat if you want to try to throw Rachmanov in a parlay. I don't think that's the safest way to do it. I think this fight could go the distance at plus 130, plus 150 at some places. I feel like it goes over 1.5 rounds. I'm minus 177. I think that's also two really good plays other than, taking a side. Rachmanov by decision plus 240 is also not too bad either. Or you can even take Magny by decision. Who knows? He can even edge it out at plus 500. But ultimately, I'm going to take this fight to go the distance, and I'm going to take the over 1.5 rounds at minus 177, minus 163, around that.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. I think you might be onto something there, Garrett. Let's talk about the next fight on the main card. It's a heavyweight bout. Josh Parisian, Alan Badeau. Josh Parisian's 14-5. Badeau is 8-3. And I think Parisian knows if he wants to stay in the UFC, he needs to win this one. He's a plus 100 underdog against Alan Badeau, who's a minus 120 favorite. How do you see this heavyweight matchup going?
I still don't know why they put such low-level heavyweight matchups on the main card, but here we are. I have not been impressed with Parisian at all in his UFC time. He should be 0-3. He was gifted a win against Roque Martinez, and Badeau at least showed some promise in his fights. He looked good even in the loss against Parker Porter, whereas Parisian got beat he was dragged by Porter in their fight, where Badeau was actually pouring it on Porter late. And I could kind of see the same thing happening here. Parisian, he goes balls to the wall early on. He tends to blow his wad, and he tends to fade as the fight goes on. And I kind of see more of the same here. I feel like he's going to try to grapple in this fight, which is going to make him gas even more. And I think Badeau possibly gets him out of there by second, third round, I would guess.
Okay. Well, interesting heavyweight bout to say the least, especially if you're a Josh Parisian fan and you want to see him remain in the biggest promotion on planet Earth. Christos Thiagos Moises. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this could sneaky be maybe fight of the night. I think both of these guys' skill sets are fairly comparable. And when you look at both of them coming off losses, I mean, you're talking to some of the best in the division. Tsarukyan, who we mentioned earlier, and Islam Makhachev as well. So they're in there fighting absolute killers. And you have right now Yagos is a plus 215 underdog. Moises is a minus 255 favorite. I feel like Moises, his skill set, his well-roundedness is going to be the difference. I do expect him to win. I'm not sure he's going to finish the fight, but I think the odd makers do have this one right. Maybe it shouldn't be so far apart, but I do think Moises should be the favorite here.
Yeah, I agree. Moises is the better fighter of the two. Yagos is tough. He's durable. He's got good wrestling, some power in his hands. But I think Moises pretty much has him beat everywhere. Yagos is not going to want to take down the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion in Moises. So it's going to boil down to a striking affair where I think Yagos is probably going to get pieced up. I think it's going to more look like Moises' fight against Alexander Hernandez, where he looked phenomenal on the feet, where he's going to be able to just touch him up and just beat him up over 15 minutes. And the only thing that's kind of a drawback of taking him on minus 255 is the fight against Joel Alvarez. I really don't understand what happened in that fight. I was very confident in Moises getting that win. He just looked bad, like very bad. I've never seen him look so bad. He was not taking a step forward. He was letting Joel Alvarez just come forward, land everything that was thrown at him, nasty elbows. Alvarez looked the best he's ever looked against a really good competitor in Moises. If he looks like that, Thiago's got some, he's got some legs to just spark the upset. But if he goes back and looks like the Alexander Hernandez fight, he's got the job done here.
All right, let's move to the bantamweight division. I'm really looking forward to this one. Nate Maness, Umar Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov is a minus 1,050 favorite, which is insane. Nate Maness, a plus 700 underdog. And I mean, if you look at both of these guys' records, they're outstanding. I mean, Nurmagomedov is 14-0. Nate Maness is 14-1. Very well could be 14-2 if you want to talk about that fight with Tony Gravely. He was lucky to get out of there with the win there. But what does he have to do to get a win and spring this upset against Umar? And do you think he can?
I don't think he can. I mean, this is uphill battling at its finest. He's never faced a wrestler and grappler like Nurmagomedov in his entire career. I know he's fought some good wrestlers and Tony Gravely and Johnny Munoz Jr. But I mean, it's a different level of grappling when you get to the Nurmagomedovs and all of them. Khabib, Usman Nurmagomedov. Those guys are legitimate grapplers, and I think it's gonna be a tough time for him. I just think it's like I said, uphill battling. I don't like the line -1,000. Obviously a little ridiculous, but this is a fight that Nurmagomedov is definitely gonna win. No ill will towards Madness here. I just think it's a tough fight for him. I think it's just a tough stylistic matchup, and I think Nurmagomedov is better on the feet than we're gonna give him credit for. I think he can hang on the feet with Madness, and then I think he's just gonna be able to take him down and possibly get the submission within 2 rounds.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Nurmagomedov wins this fight. I mean, you don't see a line this far apart unless there's a big discrepancy in talent level, and I fully expect Nurmagomedov to get this victory. I don't think it's going to go the distance either. I think he'll get him out of there. Let's move to middleweight. Chris Curtis, Rodolfo Vieira. I'm looking forward to this one. If you're looking for maybe knockout of the night, this very well could be it. Chris Curtis got to the UFC a little bit later in his career and has just looked fantastic since getting here. Been finishing people, springing upsets, taking short notice fights, and he's a -130 favorite against Vieira, who's the +110 dog. Do you think Curtis keeps the momentum rolling and gets the victory, or do you expect Vieira to win this one, Garrett?
No, Curtis is definitely getting this done. I'm not sure why the line is as close as it is. I mean, I think it's just Curtis. He just always gets disrespected on the betting lines. We've seen it, in the Phil Hawes fight. We've seen it in his last fight against Brendan Allen. Brain fart. And he looked great. I mean, 2 big underdog wins. Both, one of them both of them I think were on short notice, if I'm not mistaken. He went against 2 grapplers. He was able to defend all 6 takedowns between the 2 fighters. Now he gets another grappler in Rodolfo Vieira, where Vieira literally has to take him down because he has 0% chance of winning this fight on the feet. And we look at Vieira, he gasses in every one of his fights. Doesn't matter who he's fighting, he's gonna gas after round 1. He was gassing against Dustin Stoltzfus. Granted, luckily he was able to get him down in round 3 and actually submit him at that point. But you look at, he lost a round to Dustin Stoltzfus in that fight, which he should have submitted him in round 1. Let's be honest. He took him down in round 1 and then he was able to get out of it. I kind of see more of the same in this fight. With Vieira, he loses position a lot. You look at the Anthony Hernandez fight, he had him in mount. You are a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu master, world champion, one of the best in the entire world, and you let Anthony Hernandez get out of mount on you, and you're twice his size on top of that. It doesn't bode well for him in this matchup. He's only 8-1. Curtis has 4 times the amount of experience. He's got a plethora of years more than Vieira in terms of experience in MMA as well. I think this is a coming out party for Curtis. He gets 3 wins in a row, and he keeps him moving, up the rankings. Granted, I don't think he wants to go and fight ranked fighters. He just wants to, get paid and fight other fighters and have fun fights. And I'm all for that. And I just want to see Chris Curtis keep on winning. And another tidbit, Vieira in January had to call off his fight because he had a brain injury. He had something wrong with his brain. Definitely not something I really want to invest my money on, especially at such a low line at +115. I would need a higher juice. I mean, a higher underdog price if I'm gonna, take the chance on a guy that has such an injury, as such a brain injury that he was thinking about retiring in January.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. The action man, Chris Curtis, for the victory here. So pencil him in for one of your picks. Maybe knockout of the night potentially, but for Chris Curtis. All right, let's move to 205. Carlos Ulberg, Tafon Nchukwi. Oh, I can't wait for this one. I'm a big fan of Nchukwi. I love his style. He's clearly got a lot of power. He's a -115 favorite against Ulberg, who's he's -105. So it's basically almost a pick 'em here. Do you agree with that, or do you feel like one of these fighters is better than the other?
I'm actually gonna go with Ulberg in this fight, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tafon. I've been watching since, on the come up on the regional scene. I just think this is a bad matchup. He's at a speed discrepancy. He's at a height discrepancy, reach discrepancy. And I feel like Ulberg's just a little bit more technical than him. He's going to be able to stay on the outside, use his jab, use his reach, use his legs, just keep him at distance. Tafon, he's powerful. And he can knock anybody out at any given moment. But we've seen him lose to guys that are faster than him, who are longer than him. And this is one of those cases. And then he's got a really bad corner to boot, like a very bad corner. In his last fight, they told him when he's up 2-0, it was clear as day that he was not losing the fight. Instead of telling him to keep doing what you're doing, they're telling him, you're winning this fight, go and finish him. Like 30 seconds later, he gets a knee from hell and gets knocked the fuck out. And I'm like, what are you guys doing to this man? And then on top of it, how are you a management company, whoever is managing him, whoever is in his corner, is telling him, yes, please go take this matchup against Carlos Ulberg? I don't know why that's the case. I don't know why they would just throw him in here against a guy as good as Ulberg. I know Ulberg doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's a decorated kickboxer. He's got a plethora of experience in kickboxing, just like Tafon does as well. I think it's just a bad matchup, especially given he got knocked out just 3 months ago. It's just, I just don't get it.
You make a compelling case. You really do. And you almost sway me a little bit, but I'm just going with my gut here on this one. I think Nchukwi's going to get it done. Maybe second round TKO, but interesting matchup there. And I definitely appreciate the tidbit of information that you're adding to this discussion here, Garrett. Let's move on to TJ Brown's next matchup. I'm not even going to try and say his opponent's last name.
I don't got it.
TJ Brown against Shaylon. TJ Brown is a minus 200 favorite, and Shaylon is a plus 170 dog. I don't know a whole lot about his opponent, Shaylon. I do know plenty about TJ Brown, Glory MMA. He's having some success lately. Very good fighter on the ground. He's a dog. He's tough. He's durable. He can get in there and make it a firefight. Do you think he's the rightful favorite at minus 200? Do you expect him to win here?
I think he's the rightful favorite, but minus 200, that's ridiculous. I mean, granted, I know he went in there and smoked Charles Rosa, but I mean, to have him minus, I just can't understand him being this heavy of a favorite. I feel like this is a dog or pass situation. Shaylin is a good wrestler in his own right. I actually think he's a better wrestler than TJ Brown. So we're gonna see. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of grappling, a lot of transitions on the mat, a lot of scrambles. Where I feel like this fight's gonna be really, really close. It's gonna be a close fight, and I don't think TJ Brown's gonna run away with it on the feet either. He's not a great striker in his own right. So I'm gonna have to go dog or pass on this matchup and take Shaylin.
All right. Happens. We'll go down a weight class to bantamweight. Sergey, Morozov, Raulian, Paiva. This is a really interesting matchup. Both of these guys have stellar records, and Morozov, is the minus 140 favorite. How do you see this one shaking out?
I got Paiva in this matchup as an underdog. Morozov is good. He's a good grappler. He's tough. I want to say he's durable because he got knocked down numerous times in his time in the UFC, but what we've seen from Paiva, he's super durable, other than, the Sean O'Malley fight, but he took a ton of damage in the fight prior to that against Kelleher Phillips. Yeah. So, and I know he's also a good grappler in his own right. He's only 26 years old. He's got so much more experience. He's got more experience than Morozov, and Morozov's 32 years old. So I think Paiva could possibly get a TKO win in round 2 or 3 when Morozov tends to fade, where he normally does, especially with his grappling. He goes grappling early and often, then he tends to fade in rounds 2 and 3, where he's gonna probably get worked over by Paiva. Paiva's much better striker than him, and I think Paiva should be able to just stay up off the mat and get the job done.
All right. Cody Durden, JP Bays. Durden minus 105, Bays minus 115. Really interesting interview that Mike Heck did with JP Bays, too. If you wanted to get his side of the story of him and his I guess soon to be ex-wife. A really good interview by Mike Heck. So go on to MMA Fighting and check that out. Cody Durden, I just interviewed him. He says he's out coming for blood in this fight. He's been at ATT Coconut Creek more so for this camp. So he's been getting work in with actually the guy he just fought, Muhammad Mukayev, and all the other killers that are, we all know are there at Coconut Creek. Does he get back on track, Garrett? Does he get the win over JP Bays?
No, he does not. I think JP Bays comes in there and gets the win. I know Durden's super tough, super durable. He's got great wrestling. But the thing is, he tends to fade. He always fades. And now it doesn't matter who he fights. He's always going to fade. It's what he does. Doesn't have a good gas tank. Doesn't have great cardio. JP Bays definitely has the cardio. He's got the chin on him. He went the distance when Montel Jackson, which is like twice his size, which is insane. I don't even know why he would take that fight, but he did, and he went tooth and nail with him, which is insane that he did. And JP Bays is a finisher. He's finished, I believe, all of his wins. I feel like he could catch Durden in the transition on the mat. He's definitely the better submission artist, and he could definitely crack on the feet and catch him. And I feel like someone is getting finished in this fight, guaranteed, because Durden comes out, like you said, he's going to come for blood. So he's going to come out with a ton of excitement, ton of adrenaline, and try to finish this fight. And someone's getting caught, and I feel like someone's getting caught early. I like the under 2.5 rounds. It's now at about plus 120, plus 125. Also, like the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 110. I got a little bit better earlier in the week. And I like Bays inside the distance at plus 250.
Okay, well, interesting matchup there. Another interesting matchup is Brian Kelleher and Mario Batista. I think it's safe to say that Batista is the more technical fighter here, right? But Brian Kelleher is such a wild card. I never know what to expect with him. He could go in there and lose to somebody that he should beat, and then he could go in as a major underdog and spring an upset. That's just kind of who Brian Kelleher is. Do you think him as plus 140? There's money here against this fight with Mario Batista, who is minus 165.
I don't. I'm actually pretty confident that Batista gets the job done and gets his, biggest win of his career. He's been looking really good. He looked good. I know it's against a short notice fighter, Jay Perrine. He was able to defend the takedowns very well, use his range, use his kicks, keep him at distance. He's definitely the much more technical fighter on the feet. And I just think he's also the much more dangerous fighter as well. Whereas Kelleher, he's been around the block. He's faced the who's who. But if you look at who he's fought, there's not a single person that he's beaten other than Ode Osbourne that's still in the UFC. And Ode Osbourne is a flyweight. So, put it that way, he hasn't really beaten the greatest of competition. He's beaten Kevin Kroom, Domingo Pilarte, Ray Rodriguez, Hunter Azure. Granted, he's only lost to great competition in Ricky Simone, Umar Nurmagomedov, Cody Stamann, Montel Jackson, so on and so forth. But I think Batista is on the up and up. I do think he has the potential to crack the top 15 fairly soon. And I think this is a coming out party for Batista. And I actually capped him at around minus 225, minus 230. So I do think we're getting some value here at minus 165.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do see Mario Batista getting the job done. I just do think he's too technical, and I just think he's right now the better fighter over Brian Kelleher. All right, last fight of the card that we haven't discussed, which I believe will be the first fight of the night. Vanessa Demopolis, Jing Yu Fry. Demopolis is a plus 210 dog. Fry is a minus 250 favorite. Can the underdog Vanessa Demopolis, who seems to be a fan favorite, spring the upset here?
I hope she does, but if I'm talking betting wise, I don't think she does. I think this is a pitching perfect fight for Jing Yu Fry. All she has to do is not fall to the mat, and she should win. She's a much better fighter on the feet. She's much more technical. She's got more power. It just comes down to whether or not she's going to up that volume. She doesn't throw a lot of volume. Vanessa does throw more volume, which can kind of sway the judges a little bit, but she doesn't do a lot of damage on the feet. I think Fry should run away with this, but I will not bet her on minus 260. Maybe take her by decision if you really want to take a play on it at minus 110. But ultimately, I'd probably pass in this fight.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. We recapped the whole card here in under 30 minutes for you. So hopefully you got some information to help you go win some money making bets for this UFC Fight Night card in Las Vegas. Before we do go, I want to say happy birthday to my man here, Garrett Kerman, the fight analyst. 32 years young, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's correct. 32 years young, keeping it going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Make sure you go like his YouTube channel, The Fight Analyst. He's on Instagram, Twitter. For my money, I think you're the best in the business at breaking down these matchups. No one knows the ins and outs, intricacies of these fighters any more than you do. So really appreciate working with you. And make sure you go and you like the VegasOdds YouTube channel. We're continuing to add new content all the time in every sport out there. So definitely appreciate the support, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.